Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking all about my running journey, how I got started off running and where I'm sort of at now, what races I've done, things like that, and any other sports and activities that I might have done along the way. I've never done this sort of video before that I can see on my list of videos for my channel, so I thought it'd be interesting to sort of give you a history behind my channel and what sort of races and things that I've been involved in. So I initially started with weight loss back in 2011, and the main sort of way that I was losing weight was initially with a Wii Fit. Then I moved on to an Xbox and I got a Kinect, so I was using the fitness games on the Kinect, and eventually bought a cross trainer which I was using, and that sort of got rid of I would say at least half of the weight until I was at a weight where I was comfortable to start running. So I started running in 2013. I'd never run before that. I hated any sort of sports. I was quite a big girl back in like high school, so I didn't really like cross country or anything, and the only time I would really run was for a bus, and even then I would get out of breath doing that. So yeah, that is sort of the backstory for when I got into running. So yeah, in 2013 I got into running. I started with the Couch to 5K. At the time there wasn't really an app for that, so I was using the podcasts. They were quite boring, you literally just had to listen to their generic tracks, and a lot has changed since then, and there's C25K apps and all that kind of thing out there. So I'd started using the C25K app, like I said, back in 2013, and it was very, very hard going. I vividly remember my first run and my lungs just completely burning. And yeah, it was quite horrendous, but I stuck it out. Stuck to the runs that were planned out. I think it was 3 runs a week. And you obviously had the template of what walk and run intervals to do, so I stuck to that. Eventually I got to the point where I was, I would say, fitter than I thought I'd be. I think the Couch to 5K programme, you should have been running 5K within 9 weeks, and I think after 6 I decided to just go for it and do a half an hour run, and managed to do that. So after that I sort of threw myself into the deep end, if you will, and signed up for my local half marathon that was coming up, which was the Soham half marathon. So I think that was in May. So I started training for that. I didn't have any sort of proper training plan for that. I just sort of did a long run at the weekend and then did shorter runs during the week. Didn't really have any set plan to it. Didn't really run the right distances for half marathon. I think I maybe did up to 8 miles. So yeah, I was pretty underprepared for my first half marathon, and it was very hot in May when I did it. I remember there being like sponges on offer and things like that, and when I'd got to the finish line my legs were just falling apart, and I remember getting an ice cream at the finish line. I'll insert a picture here to show it, but I remember having an ice cream at the finish line, and I was just so exhausted from the half marathon that I just couldn't eat it. And I remember lying on the grass and I was literally just holding this ice cream. So yeah, I'll insert a picture of this because the picture haunts me. I think my first half marathon time was 2:17. So it was always just about trying to improve times on that. I do have a list of all the races that I've participated in since then. So the next race that I entered after that was the National Lottery Anniversary Run. That was in I think it was maybe the second year that they were doing the anniversary run. I think it's now changed to the Great Newham London Run. But yeah, it used to be the National Lottery Anniversary Run, and it went into the stadium. So I think it was 5 miles at the time. It's now a 10K, but that was my second race that I did. Then I decided in 2000, I don't think I did any races in 2014. Maybe I did. No, I didn't. In 2014 I had surgery, so I didn't actually do any races that year. I just followed Philip around when he was doing races, so I didn't really do anything that year in terms of races. Then when I was fully recovered and back up to fitness with running and stuff like that after surgery, I started entering races again. So in 2015 I've got the London Winter Run. That is a brilliant run. If you haven't done London Winter Run and you have the opportunity to do it, I highly recommend it. It's a bunch of fun. So yeah, I did the London Winter Run, and then I did the Run Hackney Half Marathon. Now I've done Run Hackney Half Marathon I think twice, and both years we were in a heat wave and it was horrible. I remember chafing a lot. I remember struggling and having to walk a lot. Not that that's a problem, you can walk whatever you want and whenever you want, but I was sort of disappointed in the times that I got for that. I think they were worse than my initial half marathon time. Yeah, I did the Great Newham Run, which, like I said, was the National Lottery anniversary run, so I did Great Newham Run then. I also did a team triathlon, so we have a what they called, a race organiser called Monster, who do a triathlon series in the Fens, so in like Soham, Ely, Cambridgeshire area. So they have a triathlon that is in Ely, which was about 10 minutes away from where we lived, and we did a team triathlon. So I think I did the run portion of that. Our cyclist never turned up, so we didn't actually get an official time for that, and I was quite disappointed, but yeah. That was when I sort of dabbled into triathlons. My partner and his mum were doing like open water swimming. I think I got into open water swimming that year. I bought my first wetsuit and I really got into open water swimming that year. And I was already, I think I bought a road, did I buy a road bike that year? I can't remember when I bought my road bike, but it might have been that year as well. So I'd sort of started to dabble into triathlon at that point. So yeah, we did the team triathlon, which the cyclist didn't turn up to, but whatever. Then we did the Great North Run. Again, another race where I'd highly recommend doing it once, but it is a real pain in the arse for things like hotels, and it's really, really busy on the course. So we've never done it since, sort of. We've had the experience of doing Great North Run once, and we're not really interested in doing it anymore. But yeah, we did that run, which is the Great North Run. I think I didn't beat my time in that either, so Soham Half Marathon, my 2:17 time was still the winner at that point. And then I did the West Run London 10K, and I think I got a PB in that, which was just over an hour. My Great Newham runs were about 1:05 and they sort of stuck around that time. Again, those runs were in like the midst of a heat wave and in the middle of summer, so I don't bode well with the heat very much, and those races really sucked. So the West Run London I think was in November, and I think they stopped doing that race after that. I don't think that race exists anymore. But yeah, I did get a PB on that. The next year, 2016, I also did London Winter Run again. I loved that race, and yeah. So I did that one. I did the North London Half Marathon, which also doesn't exist. It used to be the Vitality series, and yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. I did that one. That was quite good. Run Hackney again that year in the midst of a heat wave, and it sucked. Not much more to say on that one. Vitality British 10K. That is a really, really good one. I think it's now called the I think Virgin Sport might own it now, and it's the 10,000 something. I'll put the name of it here. It does still exist, and it was quite a good run, quite a good route, where you get to see like lots of different landmarks around London. So yeah, I did that one. And then I did the Great Newham Run again, which again was in the midst of summer and didn't really touch my PBs at all that year. 2017 I did the London Winter Run again, so as you can see it was very popular for me, and I did the 10k every year. I did the Cambridge Half Marathon in 2017 and I think I got a PB then, and I think it was, I want to say 2:15. Didn't cut too much time off my PB, but it was still a PB, and I was pretty ecstatic with that one. So yeah, how many half marathons did I have at that point under my belt? I had 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was my 5th half marathon at that point. That was in 2017. So I'd been running for 4 years, and I'd got 5 half marathons under my belt, which I was pretty happy with. I then did the Wings for Life, which was in July 2017. That was in Cambridge. Wings for Life is a very interesting run. They do sort of change it some years. So when we were doing it in Cambridge in 2017, they did have the catcher car, and that was sort of the fun of the race, where you sort of got chased by a car and you had to try and get as far as you could before you got caught by the car and overtook, and then that was the end of your race. I thought that was really fun. I will leave any sort of race blogs and things like that down in the description for those that are interested. I did do a race vlog on the Wings for Life, so I'll leave that below. But yeah, they sort of changed the format of that, and the locations all over the world, they swapped the catcher cars. So I think in 2018 they did the Wings for Life again, but it was a different route and they didn't have a catcher car, and you sort of had an app that told you when the car was near you, and I think that took out the excitement of the race, so we didn't end up doing it that year. Then was the Great North Swim at Windermere. That was my first official event for doing open water swimming, and I absolutely loved that. I think I got a time of like 37 minutes for a mile. I was really scared. Open water swimming does scare me. I'd only learnt to swim in 2014. So that was really nerve-wracking for me, but it was absolutely brilliant. I haven't done it since. Yeah, because the previous year I watched Philip and his mum doing it, and that's why I got into open water swimming, because it just looked really fun. So yeah, I did a Great North Swim in 2017. Then again I did the Great Newham London Run. It was quite easy to get to, which was why we did it. We've obviously moved since then, so we haven't done it since then. And then at the end of 2017 I participated in my full triathlon. So I did a sprint triathlon at Woburn Abbey. So that was my first official dabble into triathlon that wasn't in a team. I absolutely loved that. Even though it was just like sprint distance, it sort of gave me that buzz, and I really wanted to do one again, but then that sort of didn't happen. In 2018 I did the Cambridge Half Marathon again. I got a PB in that, so I've got 6 half marathons under my belt now, which is I'm pretty happy with. I got a PB of 2:05 in the half marathon then, and I was so pleased with that. I didn't think I'd managed to knock off like 7 or so minutes off my time, which was quite ridiculous when I thought about it, and I did really well in the race and performed really well for my standards, so I was really happy with that. And then the last race that we did in 2018 was the Lincoln 10K. I wasn't initially supposed to be doing the Lincoln 10K. We had a lot of snow back in March. The Cambridge Half Marathon almost got cancelled because of the snow. That was when we had the Beast of the East, or I think that's what it was called, Beast of the East. So we had a lot of snowfall, and Lincoln 10K got cancelled, and it got moved to July, and it was in the middle of a heat wave. So again, that race sort of sucked. I do not deal well with the heat, and I prefer to do races in like the colder months, so like winter time. Just think I perform much better when I'm in the winter rather than the summer. I mean, I do participate in races during the summer, but I just don't enjoy them as much. I don't go for PBs. I know I'm not going to be performing my best during that time. So yeah. So that was actually my last race. I've not done any races since the Lincoln 10K in July. Didn't do any over 2019, and that was purely because Philip had injured his shoulder when he was doing open water swimming, and we sort of travelled to races together. I don't like going to races on my own, and I like going to races with him, even though obviously we don't run at the same pace. It's nice to sort of go to those events together, and yeah, I didn't see the point in sort of going to those events on my own, so I didn't end up entering any races after that point, purely because of his shoulder and his injury. And then towards the end of the year, he went in for surgery, and then obviously I went in for surgery. I had issues with my gallbladder, was flaring up throughout that whole year anyway. So we didn't end up doing any races that year. However, I did, I think it was 2018, just at the end of 2018, throughout the previous months, like after, I would say after Cambridge Half Marathon in 2018, leading up to the Lincoln 10K, my running motivation was very, very low. If you'd go back to videos back then and sort of seen my videos then, it was always like, oh, I've got no mojo, oh, I've not done a run for God knows how long, and that was sort of the video content. Quite boring for you guys, and I was just sort of keeping it real with regards to that. I always like to be honest about my training and my struggles, so I thought I'd do videos on that, even though they weren't really helpful at the time. So I was running very far, few and far between. It was a couple of weeks here and there where I'd run. Sometimes I wouldn't run at all during the week, and then other times I'd do like 3 a week. It just sort of depended on how I was feeling at the time. But for the most part, I really wasn't enjoying running. Then I think it was must have been the end of 2018, the 5th of December, I'd sort of had enough. And I've been through this in my previous video where I talk about my run streak. I did decide to start a run streak on the 5th of December 2018, purely because I thought that having that challenge of setting myself to do a run every day would sort of motivate me to get out more. And I guess it sounds counterintuitive to try and force yourself into something that you don't want to do, but it totally worked for me. And I ended up getting to 300 days of my run streak before I obviously had surgery, which I spoke about in a video. So I had to end my run streak there, sadly, but I had been doing sort of consistent everyday running. I think I started with a 1 mile minimum distance every day, then it changed to 2 miles after I got to day 100, and then I think I swapped to 2.5 miles, and I was supposed to switch to like 3 miles on day 300, but obviously things didn't go to plan with regards to like gallbladder issues. So yeah, I stopped my run streak then. I waited for my body to recover, and I was actually craving running for the first time in a very, very long time. I was craving going out for a run, and I think that was purely based on the fact that I'd done 300 days of run streaking. So yeah, I'd sort of found the enjoyment and love in running again, and I started my run streak as soon as I was well enough and recovered enough to start again. I think I'd gone like 30 days without running from the surgery. I think it was about 3 weeks, and I just started my run streak up again. I'm now at day 110, and all is going well. I don't have any issues with motivation at all. I mean, there are days where I just don't feel like running, but then I just do my minimum distance. I've sort of kept to the same format that I was before, so I got to day 100 and I upped my minimum distance to 2 miles. Again, when I get to 200, I'll probably change that minimum distance again, just to keep the challenge in there. But yeah, that is sort of where things have progressed. I've gone from couch to 5K to running every day, so a lot has happened since then. And I do want to do another half marathon. I know I've said I've had 6 half marathons under my belt, so I do want to do another. I would love to get under 2 hours. I don't think that's possible right now. It is going to take some proper training to get to that point. But I do have a race coming up in 2 weeks. I'm doing the Burley 7. It is a inaugural event that is done by the Rutland Half Marathon events organiser. They're a local race organiser, and they have started a new race, which is the Burley 7, so it's a 7-mile race. I will be doing a race vlog on that, so keep an eye out for that. I've not really had any structured training as such. I've just been doing my normal everyday runs as part of my run streak. I haven't ended my run streak just because I'm doing races, because obviously my major challenge is to get to a year of running every day. So regardless of any races that come up this year, I am still going to be doing my run streak until I at least get to a year, and maybe I'll go beyond that, I don't know. So yeah, I do have the 7 miler in 2 weeks, so that is on the 8th of March. The 8th of March actually does fall on Cambridge Half Marathon Day, which is a little disappointing because I have done that for the last 2 years, but we have moved since then, so it's not really convenient for us to go all the way back to Cambridge to do it. So I do want to find some more local to us half marathons to do. Obviously, like I said, Rutland Half Marathon have their race series, and they do have a half marathon around Rutland Water, which is like 5-10 minutes away from us. So I want to see whether they do a half marathon towards the end of the year and sort of have something else to aim for after I've done this Burley 7. So far it's not been too bad training wise. Like I said, I haven't had a structured training routine or training plan or anything like that. I've just been doing long runs at the weekend. I think I did I want to say 8 miles, but we did 9 miles in total, including walking a couple of weeks ago, and that wasn't too bad. We just took a completely different route and we ended up being absolutely knackered. We'd sort of done a big jump from going from 3 miles to 9 miles, and it was insane. Since then I've done like a few 5 milers and things like that, so it's not been too bad. I've got no doubts in being able to do the 7 mile distance, so that's not a problem. But like I said, I will do a race vlog for the Burley 7, so keep an eye out for that in 2 weeks' time. And I'll keep you updated if I enter any races after that point. Hopefully I do, hopefully I find a half marathon. In terms of other races as such, I don't have anything in the pipeline. I do want to do another triathlon at some point, but I don't think it's going to be this year. If anything, it's going to be next year. I sort of want to get on the road bike again. I haven't been on the road bike for quite a long time. We have the turbo set up in the conservatory, but again, we've not really been using that too much, and I've quit my membership to the swimming pool at the moment just because I wasn't really going. I didn't have the motivation to go. So hopefully if that picks back up and I start going to the swimming pool a little bit more often, I will sort of think about entering a triathlon for 2021. But yeah, we will see. In terms of bigger goals than that, I've got the run streak that I want to get to a year for, and obviously London Marathon will be coming in April, and the entries for that open. It will be like my, I want to say 7th year entering, and I always say that I don't really like long distance, but it would be nice to sort of get London Marathon ticked off, and that'd sort of be my only half marathon. I've got no, I want to say motivation, but I don't know whether that's the right word. I have no drive whatsoever for doing a marathon. I have no interest in doing a marathon really, except for just getting the London Marathon ticked off, and I can say I've done a marathon, I've done London Marathon, and that's it. A lot of people do say that you sort of pick up the marathon bug after that, but yeah, I don't see it happening for me because I really hate long distance. Half marathon is sort of my max at the moment, and even then that's a push, and half marathon is a lot of hard work for me, so yeah. That's sort of my limit unless I get into the half marathon. I will obviously try in April and enter and have the excruciating wait until October. If obviously I do get in October, I will let you know, and it might affect my run streak. I'm not too sure, because I started the run streak in 2018. I might be able to get away with still getting to a year. But ideally I don't want to be run streaking while I'm training for London Marathon, especially for my first one, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like I said, it's been my 7th time that I'll be entering London Marathon, and I don't really have any hopes of getting in. My partner, Philip, his mum got in this year, so we are super happy for her to get in. I think it's been like 21 entries overall over the last 7 years for us all, and she's the first one to get in out of the 3 of us in the last 7 years, so yeah, kudos to her for getting in, and she's doing really well with her training, so yeah, We will see whether that's going to be me next year, but if not, I'm not really disappointed. It's just, like I said, something to tick off the bucket list. But yeah, I have rambled on for about 25 minutes now, and it is going to have to be cut down if I can. So hope you guys found this interesting. Hope it's been interesting to sort of hear about what I've been up to running wise and my running story, and giving you sort of an insight into my running journey. But yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to sort of update on. So like this video if you found it interesting, and let me know how you got started running in the comments below. Let me know the sort of distances that you're interested in. I think that would be quite nice to hear. But yeah, other than that, please subscribe to my channel to see more running and fitness content from me. And yeah, I hope you're all having a good weekend, whenever it is that you are watching this. And I will see you next week. Next Sunday, I upload every Sunday. I'll see you then. Bye.